I want for Christmas is a bare-chested Chad Michael Murray fixing my sink while I count his 8-pack abs. You are watching Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Recap, and we're discussing Netflix Christmas movie The Merry Gentleman, starring Britt Robertson, an actress of no particular fame, and Chad Michael Murray, popularly known for his role on One Tree Hill TV teen drama of the early aughts. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Tiffany Current.
Be sure to subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel so that you don't miss new episodes of Romance Recap only on YouTube. Tiffany, we are back.
Yes, we are back. Finally.
I have 2 questions to open up the discussion.
Yes.
Okay. One is, what does Chad Michael Murray mean to you?
Oh, obviously One Tree Hill. First off the top of my head, One Tree Hill. Of course, I watched that when I was younger. Absolutely.
Did you watch the whole show? Because there was a number of seasons.
I watched a lot of seasons. I did not watch the very end, but I watched a lot. What about you?
I actually never watched it.
Oh, okay. So he means nothing to you. What a waste. Okay, what a waste.
Okay, now my next question is, and this was talked about online. So I don't know if you're familiar with this minor mystery/drama.
Okay.
Do you believe that the actress, Britt Robertson, who plays main character Ashley, was wearing a wig?
Well, I don't want to go too much into it because I feel bad. Yes, she was wearing a wig, and I looked it up because she has short hair in real life, so she was wearing a wig.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's okay. She's allowed.
That is fine. But you see, when I first saw this actor, I was like, something seems off, and I can't put my finger on it. There's something about her look I couldn't figure out was a little askew. And then I realized that her hair seemed not real. Like
It's not real. It's a wig.
It just seemed detached from her head. Like it didn't seem like it belonged to her head.
I think that's the hairdresser. I will say, just to speak for her, she has been in stuff. She was in Life Unexpected, where she played like a teenager who found her mom, who gave her up as a teenager. She was a Lux in that. Watch that. She was also on a CW show, or maybe in WB at the time, called The Secret Circle, like another little, like, I think it was based in a book. Either way, she has been in stuff. She's a real actress. Just saying.
I'm not saying she's not a real actress. I'm just saying she's of no particular fandom or fame. There's not there's not one thing you could pick, point at and say, oh, Britt Robertson. Like the name means nothing to most people.
That's fair. I recognized her because I watched those 2 specific shows. But let's get into the movie. Can I just say, this was delightful. To quote you, this was everything and nothing. It was fantastic. Absolutely nothing happened, and yet it filled me with joy. I was laughing. I was talking to the screen. It was fantastic. This is probably my favorite silly romantic Christmas movie in a very long time. What about you?
I agree. I'll be honest. It was cheesy and cringe in moments, but in a very delightful, joyous way. And I have to be honest, like, I'm going to look to see if I can buy the soundtrack. I thought that the songs were equally jaunty and festive and sexy. Hey Santa, if you're listening, I
don't need anything that sparkles, this movie, it really was everything. I mean, for me, what I love the best is that they leaned into all the tropes, all the trashy lines. And like Chad Michael Murray, like he knew the assignment and he showed up and he delivered. Like some of those lines were so hilarious, but he delivered them with a straight face. And I was like, this is amazing. I was literally watching the movie saying, this is amazing. I think I was texting you saying like, this is hilarious. This is trash. And I love it. It was fantastic. Fantastic.
We were texting throughout the original viewing, which is when it first came out. And last night I rewatched it and I caught some things I didn't catch the first time. And Chad Michael Murray was so present in every scene.
Didn't matter how silly the line was. It didn't matter that he wasn't wearing a shirt. He delivered those lines. That's why it was so good. It was like, if you think back to Dirty Dancing, how ridiculous that movie was, and Patrick Swayze just played it straight.
Yeah.
He did the same thing. It was like genius.
The other person who was present in every scene. And he wasn't in every scene, but he
Yeah.
was so fatherly and present. Ashley's dad, played by
Yeah.
Michael Gross, the
Yes.
dad from Family Ties.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good. It was the
Yeah.
casting was great. Like they had little pops of people that we recognize. The sister, I think, was from The Practice or something or other. I think the
Yes.
random shady realtor was from The
Oh,
Witches of Waverly Place or something or other. I think there were like little things, little snacks for people. I liked it a lot.
Sabrina's aunt from
Yeah.
90s TV
Oh,
sitcom Sabrina the
yes.
Teenage Witch, Beth
Yes.
Broderick, played the
Yes.
main character's mother. So it's Family Ties meets Sabrina as far as the parents. And there is a barfly Danny who doesn't really
Yeah.
have a formed character, but does play a
No.
role. And it's Maxwell Caulfield, who I had a massive crush on back in the day
Wow.
because he
Okay.
played Michael Carrington from the musical film Grease 2. Now, didn't we talk about Grease 2 many a time in
Who
the
was
past?
he? Wait, do you mean he was the geeky guy that rode the motorcycle?
Yes,
That was the geeky guy?
it
The
was. Yeah.
cool rider?
Cool
Jeez
writer.
Louise.
Cool writer. Yep.
I didn't realize that was him. Oh my
Oh,
God.
yeah. Yeah. He's 65.
He's aged well, but it's
Yeah.
like he's aged. But it's I had no idea it was that. I know it was Michael. That's funny.
And another thing, Marla
Yeah.
Sokoloff, who plays the sister
Yep.
mentioned from The Practice, she was also on Full House. She had a
Yes, I
recurring
saw that.
character.
Yes, I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So that, yes, that was the other thing.
It was nice little moments. For people who don't know, this movie, The Merry Gentleman, is about a girl who goes home to visit her parents, and apparently their bar has fallen on hard times, so she decides to throw a mail review in order to raise money. Most ridiculous, like Hallmark plot ever, which is why it's a Netflix. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
dive in.
Yeah.
We open on Britt Robertson. They're in New York. She's apparently part of the Jingle Bells. I thought they were gonna call them the Jingle Bellas, but it was just the Jingle Bells. I was like, all right, that's fine.
I think it would have rolled off the tongue better.
Yeah, I thought it would have been cute. But she's in like one of those Rockefeller Center type girls Christmas festivities. We see her doing a dance number, and apparently she's a little too old. She's a little too old
Well, what's
at 30 or whatever.
what's funny is apparently the age was the reason why she was let go. And I think
Yes,
it should have been because she was fumbling on the
she missed a
stage.
step. Yeah, she missed a step. Yeah, it's just been like negligence. I don't know. Who cares about her age? She missed steps and she's like, oh, I've done it before. But it got into it. The inciting incident happened. She was fired. She goes home. What I love about all these Netflix Christmas movies, I don't know if you've seen it as well,
Yeah.
is that they're always at home watching other Netflix Christmas movies on TV. And I'm like, Netflix just loves to promote itself.
It's also, I think, tongue in cheek. I think it's
Yeah.
also done as like a nod. And there's also later on a nod to Hallmark movies, which
Yes.
I'll,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you know what I'm talking about. And the
Yeah.
movie that we see the main character Ashley watching after she gets fired is A Christmas Prince.
Yeah. I know. I saw it. I'm like, I've seen that one too. I've seen
I
them.
saw
All the
all
ones they're
those.
showing.
Yeah, they're
I've
good.
seen all of them. So what I love is she's watching TV. She's depressed. Her parents call. They're saying, we're coming to New York. And she's like, actually, why did I come to you?
Mhm.
Because I've been fired. And that's when we see her show up outside of her parents' small time bar and the meet cute happens. The meet cute happens.
The meet cute, which, I really hate when meet cutes revolve around the woman stumbling and
Yes. Okay.
falling. Okay. So Ashley arrives at Sycamore Creek, which they mentioned several
Yeah.
times. It's very important that we know it's Sycamore Creek. The meet cute is that Chad Michael Murray, aka Luke, is
Yes.
hanging up. It looks like greenery, like a wreath, and there's
Pencil. I don't know. Yeah.
like green garlands.
Christmas time. There you go.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Whoa, hey, watch it. Come on, hold on.
Okay.
I think you're going the wrong way.
All right, maybe you should just let go.
Somehow she gets tangled up in it, and he's like, "Oh, you're
Yes.
tangled up," and then she just falls in a manner that looks as if she was pushed onto.
It does. It was
onto the
very
side.
strange.
Oh, it should be
I'm
fine.
gonna-
Let go. Oh.
you all right? I'm sorry.
Better.
It was a strange fall, but I guess that's how we introduced him. He still looked amazing.
Oh,
Chad Michael Murray looks, however old he is, amazing. Amazing. His face, fantastic.
yeah.
Body, obviously, later, super fantastic. But we see him and we go inside. She sees her parents, and we kind of learn, like, oh, this place is kind of crumbling. The faucet doesn't work, that type of stuff. But we did see on the walls that it used to be something that, like, a princess used to be here and all this stuff. But now it's this rundown bar all of a sudden.
That was the other nod on the wall in the
Yes.
rhythm room,
Yes.
this bar
Yes.
nightclub. There was the Princess Switch movie with Vanessa Hudgens. There was a shout out
Yeah.
because it said these royals visited,
Yeah.
rhythm
It
room.
was
So it's like,
cute.
oh, this place used to be popular. And now there's like nobody in there. And it's
No
just
one.
this barfly, this older gentleman, Danny, who is Maxwell Caulfield.
Who just happens to hang out. And at first I'm like, why is he always here? Comes into play later. Let's get to the goods. She shows up at her sister's restaurant, the Little Spoon Cafe. It was a super cute cafe.
Yeah.
And they're talking. We meet her, we meet the husband. And for some reason, she gives Ashley the biggest cookie with chocolate icing I've ever seen in my life. And when she opens her mouth to eat it, I like wrote it down. I was like, I wrote, why is that cookie so large? Exclamation point. She like had to open her mouth so large to eat this cookie. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I could deal with the chocolate candy cane cookie being large, but
Yes.
for some reason she felt like she was unable to break it in pieces manageable for her mouth. So she's eating it as if she's shoving, I don't know,
She
like eating
shoved
a
it.
piece of pizza or something.
She shoved it in her mouth. It was so weird. It was so like, no one eats a cookie like that. She
No.
shoved it in, got like chocolate icing all over. It was so gross. It was all over her cheek. It
Yeah.
was just gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
City girl.
As she's, gorging herself with cookie,
Yes.
Luke, now we've already established Luke and Ashley have a little bit of a hostility. I don't know why. I guess because
I
it
don't
just
know why.
works, and he walks in, he's like, oh, hey, city girl. And she gets so startled by
I
him
know.
that she fumbles with the cookie and wipes the cookie on her mouth. And it looks like she was like she had PTSD or something.
I know.
And he walks
I
in and
know.
triggered her. And she's like, oh,
I don't know why that happened. I was like, why is she like acting this way? It was just that was my first like of note moment of the movie. I'm like, what's up with the cookie?
What's up with the cookie?
Um,
And he's like,
that
oh,
was
I'll
great.
have what she's having. It's like,
Yeah,
no, I don't think so.
not to hear him at Sally. That's fine.
Oh my God.
Hey, Raj. I'm here to get my order. Yeah. And, I'll have what she's having.
So basically, at some point, she goes back to her sister's room. Her sister, for some reason, in conversation says, guess what? I used to date a stripper.
I'm gonna tell you something, but you gotta promise to never tell anybody. Okay? Max wasn't exactly a real doctor. He just played one at bachelorette parties. Marie Rose Davis, did you date a stripper?
I guess that gets the things rolling in her head, because when she goes back to the rhythm room, I put, for some reason, we see CMM fixing the faucet with his shirt off.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
He's like, why? Granted, it looks amazing, but when I saw that moment, I'm like, why is his shirt off? It made zero sense to me.
It was totally gratuitous.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can understand if they established that there was just gallons of water coming out of the sink, but you figure it's a drip. I don't, and he comes out. The other thing is that he wasn't he didn't even look a little dirty. He didn't even look a little wet. So he looked like he's just laying there back there waiting for her to come, and he just jumps up. He's like, oh. But that man's got such flexibility, like the way his sinewy body was like, moving, and she's like,
it was
oh,
like
you're
a
naked.
Pilates body. It was like a Pilates body or something. It was very well toned. It was very well toned.
he had more abs than I've seen. So that's why I referred to 8-pack at the top of the show, because it seemed like there were abs on top of abs and they all looked so clean and freshly washed.
I know.
But he should have been dirty. I mean, that would have been even sexier. He should have been dirty from fixing this.
There should have been evidence of him doing work as opposed to him just hanging out,
Yeah.
waiting for some stranger to walk into the bar.
Yeah.
Mom, Dad. Oh my God. Luke, what are you doing under there? You scared me.
Oh, I scared you.
Oh my God, you're naked.
What? Okay, first of all, I'm not naked.
Oh, right.
My shirt was drying. And second of all, I'm only down there because someone broke the faucet.
Allegedly. And it was broken already.
Fair. Mind giving me a hand?
After that moment, the realtor walks in. That's when we learned, of course, the rhythm room is $30,000 in debt. Dun dun dun.
But let me,
It was
I just want to,
shocking. Yeah.
right. Well, here's what's shocking is that it was only 30,000 in debt. But the other thing is that if you recall, the realtor is just spitballing a figure for
She's just
Ashley.
guessing.
So I don't even know how accurate the 30,000 is.
So your good news is that my parents are going to lose the rhythm room to a juice bar?
And be made whole in the process.
Okay, how much could they help?
6 months rent, plus maintenance, repairs, interest. $30,000?
It's a random number. She's like, maybe 30,000, like 30,000. And what I love is that immediately she's like, but I have an idea. I have an idea. A male review show right here in the Rhythm Room. And Chad Michael Murray's like, what? Like out of the blue.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
But here's the thing, there was a slight connection, which I appreciated,
Yeah.
is that the realtor says, oh, the rhythm room, it's just another hole in the wall with too many holes in the wall, and says it's on life support and even a doctor couldn't help it.
Oh,
And
yes,
then there's
yes.
the pause, and we're getting beat over the head as the audience, like, oh, she's making the connection between her sister's revelation about the doctor stripper she dated.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, a male review. And then Luke walks in. She's like, oh, and he's in it. And he goes along with it.
Oh, sweetie, you don't need new acts. You need a doctor because this place is on life support.
That's it.
What I love is we cut directly from there to somehow we have Chad Michael Murray, the bartender, and the brother-in-law getting ready to prep to do this thing. I'm like, no questions asked. We're just like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. We'll take our no discussion. They're just like, yeah, we'll do it. We're in. We'll take our shirts off. It was random. No discussion.
Multiple times throughout this, I kept saying, but are they giving them even a small stipend for performing? I mean, I know it's for charity. And then I was like, well, everyone just loves the rhythm room and that's small town life.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, are they getting paid? Because this is every night that they're going to just go and do a dance.
It's 10
and they're going
nights
to
in a
try
row.
to earn $30,000 and they don't get a percentage off the top. It's super strange.
It is. And you know what? The math of the whole thing does not work. It's $30 a cover. Did you notice the sign?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, $30
So how many
a
would
cover.
that be? 300 people?
So what they were like, I figured out that the first night, because they showed how much they made the first night, I was like, that's like 75 people. I'm like, well, that's doable. But here's the thing, in a small town, you're telling me the same, like how many people did they even have coming there? Like it's all of the same people coming every night for 10 nights? It was, the math did not make sense and it bothered me. I don't know why.
I mean, it's not supposed to make sense. It's about them throwing a male review to save a bar. But what I like is that we see like a montage of them stretching and kicking and learning the moves. And for some reason, once again, the old guy at the bar is just sitting there watching the whole time as they're doing all these little dance moves.
Yeah.
It was cracking me up.
Right. And he's doing like, crossword puzzles, but he came off a little bit like a creeper. I'm like, what's this guy's deal? I was like, what's going on? But we see later on, he has his big moment. At the end of this training montage, Luke, Chad Michael Murray, is like kind of doubting that he can do it and this is coming together. So Ashley and him dance in what I thought of was like a Dirty Dancing type of like intimate, slow dance moment. And I swear to God, first of all, the chemistry is all coming from his end. He is looking appropriately longing and into
Totally
her.
disagree.
She looks constantly ill and in pain.
I
You look at her
totally
face.
disagree. Look, I
No.
watched this one. Their faces were so close, they're gonna kiss. Like, I felt a tingle. I was like, oh, I like this. I felt it. I felt it. I felt the heat. I thought it was hot. I thought it was hot
From his
in that
side.
moment.
If you were envisioning yourself in her position, then I would say there was chemistry, but he had all the chemistry coming off of him in deep,
Oh my
sultry
goodness.
waves. And she looked like a blank slate. And
I disagree.
if you
I
rewatch,
disagree.
I think you have to rewatch this a third time. She looks in
No.
pain and in discomfort for most of the movie. Her face has got resting pain face.
I totally disagree. The second time I watched, I specifically watched that scene because I'm like, and I thought, how can Liz not feel the heat? I felt the heat. I saw it, whatever. I enjoy the moment. But what I like is the fact that we get to opening night and then Chad Michael Murray is freaking out. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't think I could do this. He says, what if I freeze up? I was cracking up laughing at how much he was just like freaking out over this whole thing. It was super funny to me.
What's going on?
I don't think I can do this.
What? No. These are just pre-show jitters. It happens to the best of us. You know these moves like the back of your hand.
Yeah, what if I go up there and I just freeze up in front of everybody?
Okay.
And
How about this? How about I share with you a little showbiz trick? Look out into the audience and find a friendly face. Yeah?
friendly face.
Yeah.
It seemed a little out of character for him.
Yeah.
Like for what we
Yes.
had learned
Yes.
about him. So up to this point, it's like, oh, he's this carpenter. And, he's like, I practically grew up in a toolbox.
Yeah.
My father was a general contractor, so I practically grew up in a toolbox.
But I guess that was supposed to show his vulnerability and that he's really just a soft cinnamon roll type of guy inside.
That's it.
But, it's like, I don't know. It seemed a bit much.
It was a bit much. They did the show as construction workers in Christmas drums, throwing Christmas lights at the audience. I thought it was hot. I thought it was a great little opening, like dance number for the movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. The funniest part for me in that moment is that when they're done with the first night, they toast and he says, thank you for taking a chance on me. I'm like, what? You have a job, Chad Michael Murray.
All right.
Thank you for taking a chance on me.
Excuse me, everyone. I'd like to make a toast to Ashley for taking a chance on a guy who didn't even want one.
After the
What?
first opening, successful dance, all of a sudden his character, Luke,
It changes.
it changes into someone who's really like thirsty for her and is really getting into the dance. And it's like
Yes.
he's taking everything so seriously. I thought
That's
things
why
were
it was so funny.
it was ridiculous. Okay. So one thing I'd like to comment on. Okay, so this
Yeah.
first opening performance is with Luke, Troy the bartender, and Roger
Yeah.
the brother-in-law.
Yes. Yes.
Every time the camera goes a little bit towards Roger, it's blurry. You can't make him out. For some reason, Roger never gets full coverage in any of the dance scenes. And I don't know
I don't know, man.
He's an attractive man. He seems to have a decent physique. So I didn't get that. Luke's heartfelt toast to Ashley. I
Yeah.
have so many questions about it because he says, oh, thank you for your hard work. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then he says,
Yeah.
like you said, thank you for taking a chance on a guy who didn't even want one. What does that mean? You didn't know you wanted a chance to be a male dancer, a male review dancer, and now this is your life? Like, I don't know.
It was cheese. I was cracking up. For some reason, they go on a walk together later, like a little date. We learned he was married, that
Yeah,
it
he's
was a
divorced.
disaster, apparently. They end up taking a photo with Santa Claus. I don't really know. It's a very strange situation. It's a very random date.
It is, it's a very random date. And I noticed you skipped over
Yeah.
the gift he also gave her opening night after the toast. That had me writing in caps, dude wants it too much. Like he's really pushing it. So Luke gives
Yeah.
Ashley not only a toast in front of everyone, but
Yes.
a wreath necklace because he's
I
forever grateful to the wreath that pulled her into his life because that was what she got tangled up in.
I got you a little something, just a little something to remember me by. I will forever be grateful to that wreath for pulling you into my life.
I don't know. I saw him give him and I was like, you just met her and you're buying her jewelry. It was super strange.
It
I
was
mean, I'll
very
take the necklace, but it was super strange.
It was
I didn't
very
get it.
strange. Now, this is 10 days in, like, or a
Yeah.
week or whatever. They've done training and danced, and he did the performance and gave her a toast and gave her a necklace. And then he asks her, so are you like married or dating? First of all, you didn't glean that information beforehand, and you give
I
someone a
know.
gift like that
A
and then ask,
necklace.
are you with someone?
I know. That was very like, okay,
I was like, oh,
okay,
he's a
sir.
player. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. But for me, the best part of the movie comes after this, and this is the montage. This is the montage that I like. I was blushing watching this because it was like I thought it was hot. We have the montage of the cowboys dancing and taking off their shirt.
Hey Santa, if you're listening, I don't need anything that sparkles, goes to shine.
The Chippendales dancing and taking off their shirt. What I love about this moment is that, as you said, the music. I want a man, I want a man this
This
Christmas.
Christmas.
Like the music during these montages, I was like, it was everything for me. It was everything for me. It was so good. I loved it.
The music, like I said, I'll say it again and again. I love the soundtrack. I thought all of the songs were jaunty. I kept singing to myself the I Want a Man This Christmas song.
It was fantastic. And then we get to the dramatic moment in the movie when they run in and say, we've got a situation. We've got a situation. He slipped on the ice. He can't dance. What are we gonna do?
This is Roger, who they haven't even been giving much screen time to anyway. I think more at stake would have been having Luke slip on the ice.
Yes.
But they had
yes.
Roger, so it was very low stakes. It's like, well, what are we going to do without Roger? And I'm like thinking, you can't just go out there and dance without him. I think you could turn a foursome into a threesome.
We need 4 dancers to make this work. They were so freaking out over this 4 dancer thing. It was ridiculous.
Well, we didn't mention that they did add someone else to the show, Ricky.
Yes. Oh, yes, I forgot. They
Yeah.
add Ricky, the cab driver, to the show. He's the one that says, like, I think we should cancel. You know, they were getting very freaked out. They go out, they try to do it, and for some reason with 3 people, they bump into each other. Why are you bumping into each other? They
Yeah.
leave the stage and they're just like, this is awful. What should we do?
I just have to mention that one of the cheesiest lines to me was when they couldn't do it without Roger
Yeah.
on stage and they're fumbling and everything. Luke says,
We will be right back. Do me a favor, don't lose your shirts, because we will.
we will.
We will.
And
I
then
know, I
walks
saw
off
that.
and they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's when Danny, the barfly, who's been watching all the shows, I guess he's been paying every night to go to the shows and watching all of
I
the
know, it's
rehearsals.
weird.
He's like, he comes dressed in the cummerbund and suspenders and the hat. He's like, I'm ready
First
to
of
go.
all, where did it come from? How is he already wearing this outfit?
Don't know.
How does it fit him?
Don't
It's
know.
all like nobody asks any questions. Nothing's explained. He just shows up wearing the outfit and he's just like, and like, do you even know the choreography? He's just like, It's ridiculous.
He's
It's
like, oh, you
ridiculous.
think I just been sitting around doing nothing? It's like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. But I gotta get for his age, man, he could
He did
dance.
good.
I saw him, he crouched down. I was like, this man is like Still very agile. He was moving around.
Yeah,
He was
I put
moving
down
around.
he's svelte. He was svelte and very, and they had the candy cane canes that they were kind of like
Oh
swinging
yeah.
around. So it was also a little bit classy, sexy. It was a slower pace, so I felt like
Slow
Danny
pace.
blended in well
Like he
with
can
the group.
handle it. He can
Yeah.
handle it.
Hanging the stockings, trimming the tree. Children are filled with holiday glee.
So this
my
leads them
goodness.
to being featured on the news.
Yes, it's
Okay.
so big that for some reason they are on the news.
Yeah.
It's a big hit. Keep in mind this has just been live for like 5 days or something, and it's just like national news. Like this male review is amazing, and I'm like, wow, there's nothing going on in this town, and this is like the big news.
It was the big news. And this is when we learn a little bit more about Luke through insights provided by Troy, the bartender and male dancer, who he talks to Ashley and he reiterates, oh yeah, Luke was really hurt because he and his wife moved from the city to, whatever, Sasquatch
Yeah.
Falls, wherever the hell they live again. I forget.
Sycamore Creek.
Sycamore Creek, yeah. And he's like, and then she left to go back to the city. So now you're like, oh,
I know,
okay, he's got a
that's why
thing.
she's a city girl. Yeah.
Right, that's why he keeps calling her city girl. And Troy says, Luke has those Hallmark handyman vibes.
I know, I saw that.
was
I saw
like,
that. That was
oh.
cute. I was like, nice nod. That
Yeah.
was a nice nod.
I know he's got those Hallmark handyman vibes.
Netflix was like, respect.
They didn't make fun of it. They just gave a nice like call out, like, hey, we know what we're doing.
After this is the barn.
This is the barn. They go in there. We see his crafts, I guess, that he's making his wooden crafts.
He makes a lot of chair legs.
There was no chairs. That's like the scary, like, is he a murderer? Like, why are there so many? It's very weird.
I thought it was like it's just little chair legs. It's like it's part of his alibi. Like he's like, if I just keep making it, people think I'm making furniture, but I'm really here to do evil, the deeds.
There was no explanation as to where these legs were going. It was just like, oh,
Yeah.
these are just piles. Like somebody ordered, I need 90 chair legs stacked. That's it. I don't want the chair, just the legs. All thrown about. They come in, they dance again. They finally kiss. We get the kiss. I thought it was sweet.
I thought the kiss was a bit hungry.
Well, good. That's what Netflix is. It's more of a hungry kiss on Netflix as opposed to the chaste Hallmark kiss.
No, like, I don't know. I think it was coming from her. Like, I felt like saying, oh, now we see passion from this lady. Because I saw her going for the kiss. It looked like she sucked his bottom lip. I was like, oh, this is going well.
After the kiss, out of the blue, of course, the dilemma comes in. She gets a call from her old boss. This new young thing couldn't hack it. She burnt out. She burnt out apparently after like 7 days. So apparently some 21-year-old can't hack it for 7 days. Fine. And then she's like, I need you back immediately, tomorrow, Christmas Eve. And it's like, Jesus. And what I love is she's just like, she's thinking about it. I'm like, this woman literally just fired you a week ago for being too old.
Yeah.
And you want to go back? It was strange.
Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting that they offered her, if she were to come back, a 3-year contract and a 25% raise. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't think she was that talented in the first scene anyway. She didn't even fit in because, like the Rockettes, everyone's got to be the same height. She was noticeably shorter than all the other people. And all I saw her do was like fumble. So I was like, what is going on? So
like, they really need help. They really needed help.
They really need help. But I thought it was because they were on the news. Did you make that connection?
That's what I thought. I thought like now she's famous. Now they can capitalize on her because they kept saying it was her male review.
Yeah.
What I love is she goes back and for some reason she tells them Chad Michael Murray right before the show. I didn't understand why the timing. It's like you can't wait an hour to the show. So she tells Chad Michael Murray right before the show that like I think I might leave. And what I liked about this moment is that she says that he's very upset. All the other dancers come in, they're like, "What's going on?" And Chad's like, "She's leaving." And one of my favorite lines is she's like, "I work so hard to be in the Jingle Bells," and they're like, "What about everything we work for?"
I'm going back to the Jingle Bells.
Well, what about our show?
If I don't go now, then I'm gonna lose everything that I worked for.
What about everything we worked for?
I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? What about everything we work for this 10-day mail review that we're doing? What's going on?
I
I
don't
don't get it.
know. I don't know. I mean, so she's choreographing and leading them in all these dances. Although, the montages are very quick. So to us, it's like, oh, they probably just practice an hour a day.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be that they were like all not doing their jobs and practicing
Oh,
10 hours a
interesting.
day? That it's like,
I don't
what do
know.
you mean you worked like hard? Like it seemed like a
It was
misplaced
very dramatic. Yeah.
investment
Drama.
in this male review.
It was misplaced. Chad Michael Murray storms off, and once again, another great line. I don't know if you wrote it down, but he said, like, for the first time in my life, I thought I found something worthwhile. I was like, what? Like, for the first, like, what? This male review is like,
For the first time since Amy left, I thought I found something worthwhile in my life.
No, I
the
think it
line
was
was so
her.
cheap.
Wasn't it supposed to be
Yeah,
her?
I guess maybe he was talking about her, but I
don't
couldn't tell
know.
in that moment. But it was so cheese to me. I loved it. I mean, that's why I wrote it down. I'm like, this line is so cheese, and he
Yeah.
just delivered it. He's like, I'm gonna deliver. I don't care. I'm delivering this
You're right.
line.
He
He did it.
the Chad Michael Murray as Luke felt everything in a big way.
Yes.
Every feeling that came out of him was like, I am deeply impacted by everything.
I
And
know.
she seemed like she didn't really care as much. I mean, she cared about the, raising money for the family, but not
Yeah.
enough to like make it more than 30. She was just going to do the minimum, which is 30, which I think wasn't very
Big
ambitious of her.
deal. That's very kind of her. Nobody else was raising 30K for the town, for this little pub or whatever it is. But that was so funny to me. I'm like, why is he so
Oh,
yeah,
and then they take it outside. Like he follows her outside. And
was an
I
outside
wrote
fight.
what I thought was interesting is he's like, I was falling for you, but
I
thanks
know.
for showing me who you really are before I did.
I was starting to fall for you, Ashley. Thank you for showing me who you really are before I did.
I know, he threw it in her face. It was so hostile. And then he stormed back. He's like, I'm going back to take off my clothes.
Then he's like,
Back
I got a
inside.
show to do.
He stormed back inside afterwards. I was like, this is harsh. Like, what is going
It was.
on?
And I was annoyed that we didn't see the performance for that night.
We didn't, but we got to see, I guess the next day the boys are practicing. They're getting into fights for some reason. Like, we can't do this. I'm like, why are they getting angry with each other?
So Luke decides to lead the practice and they're like, oh, you're not an expert. And he's like, well, the expert isn't here.
I know, and she's not here.
And for some reason, Roger, Ashley's brother-in-law, challenges Luke's authority. Like, why?
I didn't like that.
For now, I'm in charge.
I guess I didn't get that memo.
Of all the people to challenge him, why Roger? I was like, Roger is just like, come on, guys. He barely had any screen time.
Right.
Don't have to be the dick.
It was strange. And I had a question about something. So at one point, after Ashley says she's leaving, she's talking to her sister Marie and admits she has feelings for Luke. And then you see that Luke was underneath the table fixing something and he overheard.
I didn't see this at all. I totally missed that.
I missed it the first time. I only caught it the second.
What? I totally missed that.
So they're talking. She's like, oh, I do have feelings because the sister is encouraging her to like, I don't know, be with Luke or make up with Luke. And then you see Luke just like he overheard it and he's just thinking. And I'm like, okay, to what end? Like, why?
I know you have feelings for him. Yeah, like the biggest feelings I've had. Then you have to tell him. He's a really, really good guy, Ashley. I know.
Why? What's the purpose?
I have to go back and watch that. That seems like a bad edit because he shouldn't be in that scene. That's strange. All I know is it's the final performance. We see her in the car with her white luggage, trying to go back to New York, and of course there's traffic. And she hears some song on the radio. Is this the song they danced to? What was the song?
It was this Western holiday song about love and family and love. I don't know. And they danced to it, slow dance.
They danced to that
in
song.
the barn when they kissed.
Okay. Because I'm like, this must have been one of the songs they danced to. She heads back and we see the final performance. And what I love is that Chad Michael Murray is just not feeling it. He's just slow dancing and angry, very unhappy. And then finally he's just like, stop the music. Stop the music. I can't do. It was just so dramatic.
It was melodramatic. And my whole thing is, okay, when you said stop the music, if she hadn't walked in, what was your plan? Were you
I
just
know.
going to say stop the music and just stare at everybody? Because he stopped the music as if he knew somehow she was going to be there. It was so like calculated, contrived. It's
Yeah.
like, stop the music. And he's just staring out in the audience, like upset. And then Ashley, enters
Then she
the
walks in.
Rhythm Nation. What's it? Rhythm bar,
The rhythm room or
room.
something.
And it's like, oh, she's back. But I just want, okay.
What?
Before he comes on and is like, oh, like really go through
Yeah.
emotions and he's not doing a good job because he's upset. It begins with a hip hop street dance battle. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
song Carol of the Bells, kind of
It was
like
like the bartender versus the taxi driver, right? I
yes,
think
it was
that's what it was.
Troy
Yeah.
and Ricky. Ricky's the taxi
Yeah.
driver. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm really into this whole like, almost like a street battle. Because Troy,
The
the
strip
bartender,
battle.
has Troy and Ricky have really nice
Yeah.
physiques.
They're professional dancers, probably. They're professional dancers.
Probably, yeah. So once Ashley returns, then Luke performs his heart out. Like too much now.
I put down, he jams it out. He humps the floor. This is finally when we see the humping the floor scene. And then it kind of like he gets out of there and he just comes over and says like, I think he said, you probably wrote this down. I'm just an average guy. And if you had told me a month ago, I'd be dancing across this stage. I was like, I love this movie so much. I'm just an average guy. Like, what is happening? What is happening? What is happening?
He gave his all to this role, and I really do hope they have some kind of sequel. Go back to Sasquatch Falls.
They have to be like, shut up, Sycamore Creek. It has to be like a Valentine's Day special or something. Like we have to like raise money to save like, what was it called? The Spoon Cafe. Maybe the Spoon Cafe is going out of business and they have to do like another review.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And he continues to say, I'm not a performer. I'm just an average guy who knows how to fix a faucet. And then he said, this became so much more than just a silly Christmas show. I got to experience something that I never thought I'd do in my lifetime, and I loved it.
I found my friendly face. I didn't even know I was looking for one. I'm so glad I found you.
Can we talk about the friendly face?
Yes,
because this term friendly face was discussed earlier in the movie. And he's just like, you were supposed to be my friendly face. At one point he tells her, like, you were supposed to be my friendly face, I think, when she's gonna leave. And I'm like, what? I've never heard that phrase before in my life. Is that a thing?
Okay, so outside of this movie, I have not. But earlier, when he was freaking out and had stage fright and was afraid to go out on opening night, she talked to him and said, I was taught by an instructor, whatever, a dance choreographer, that, if you're nervous, look out and find a friendly face in the audience to connect to. So that was the whole thing behind friendly face. But outside of that, it sounded like a childlike kindergarten term. Like, oh, find the friendly face, So for him to be so seriously saying, I needed a friendly face, it was out of control.
It was too much. I remember whenever he like accused her of that, because it's like out of context.
Yeah.
Like when she said it sounded actually regular when she said it. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
When he said it in an angry way, I was like, what?
His reaction makes me think he had childhood trauma too.
I mean, I think maybe he's so developed because it's Chad Michael Murray, and he's just like, if I'm going to be taking my shirt off, I better have a killer backstory. And maybe he did have childhood trauma. It just didn't come up yet. Yeah. In the next one, it'll come up.
I'm fingers crossed. I really hope there's a next one. So the ending is on Christmas Day. They close down the Rhythm Room to have this big Christmas Day celebration.
They meet the goal. They raise the money.
How much did they make?
They invited the mean old lady to come join their Christmas dinner. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And how much do they make?
I don't even know. 30,000?
$30,095. Come on, they could have had them make 1,000 over the goal.
I know.
It was so ridiculous. But
they just barely made it. Yeah.
But they did invite, the realtor, the landlord, whoever she was, to come and eat with them. But she was supposed to be kind of like the bad guy, but not really, because let's face
Yeah.
it, she's a landlord. If you owe rent, that's coming to you. So they kind of made it like
I
she was the
know.
bad guy, but not really, which she really wasn't. But
She wasn't. She was a good person. She was kind. She gave them a shot.
yeah,
I look, it ends with them, I think, kissing near a Christmas tree or something.
yeah,
I
something
gotta
like
tell you, this was just well done, Netflix. This is what a Christmas holiday movie should be, because they knew,
that.
like, I'm gonna lean into how ridiculous these, because they're all ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna go to Vermont and go back to my parents' farm, and I met this man. They're
Yeah,
all like ridiculous premises, and they leaned into it
yeah,
and took it to the next level.
yeah.
Very well done.
Well done indeed. I hope next year there's a sequel.
I know.
I predict this is going to be my holiday comfort watch, where I'll just watch it over and over a few dozen times. Overall, I loved the choreography.
Yeah, it's good.
You
Sexy.
know, the music was great. Chad Michael Murray must have really trained for this, unless he's always in pristine condition. I don't know.
He probably trained, and they probably also airbrushed on some abs, would be my guess.
You think there was a little airbrushing, huh?
Yeah, I think so. You have to.
Well, I wish they would have spent more time on Ashley's wig than
Oh
the
no,
props
that's
for the show.
unfair.
There was like all these props and things for the show and lights, but her wig, there was one hairstyle she had at one point where it was half up or something. I was like, ooh, they did her dirty. They did her dirty with this wig because it looked fake. Like it looked fake.
Well, I still say that's the hair people. Even
Yeah,
with
she
the
made me mad.
strange wig, I think it still worked, and it was a fun, ridiculous, trashy movie, if that's what you're into.
It was. And yeah, I give it 5 stars. Well, that's all we got for you. In the words of Ashley's mother, remember, it doesn't matter how well you perform, it's who you perform for. So subscribe and stay tuned, because you never know what romance movie or dating reality show we'll recap next. Happy holidays.